Hi everybody, I'm a Dangerous Mix. Let's talk about Death of a Unicorn, which was directed by Alex Sharfman and stars Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Richard E. Grant, Tia Leone, Will Poulter, Anthony Carrigan, and Sunita Mani. Death of a Unicorn is a movie where a father and daughter just aren't really getting along, and the father is trying to make moves to secure their future and decides to take the daughter on a business trip. Along the way, they end up hitting a unicorn and things just kind of go sideways from there. And the boss's family really looks to capitalize on the healing factors that the unicorn offers. I only saw one trailer for this movie, and that's really all I needed to see. It did exactly what a trailer is supposed to, showed off the cast, highlighted some key points of the story, and motivated me to see it. So I was pretty much hooked from the trailer. I really enjoyed what Alex Sharfman was able to do with this movie. It does a little bit of balancing between comedy and horror. I would say it's probably more on the kind of dark comedy side of things. Um, but I think there's a good balance to this, and I really appreciate what he was able to do with this movie. And as far as I know, I think this might be his first one. So kudos to him and A24 allowing him to put this movie together. As I said, I really enjoyed the cast. Paul Rudd, he's always someone that I enjoy, but he doesn't necessarily carry this movie. Jenna Ortega's here as well, but she also, could have been played by anyone for the most part, as far as my opinion goes. But Will Poulter, I feel he was the actor that carried this movie. And then another one that is kind of behind the scenes, and I feel they do a very good job as a supporting actor, is Anthony Carrigan. He's so good in most things I've seen him in, and I really enjoyed him playing Griff in this, and the way he's kind of in the background lurking and doing things, and like some of the reactions and expressions and just interactions with other characters I really appreciated. I think one of the first places I saw him was actually Gotham, where he played Zaz. But he was also very good in Barry, which I've only seen the first season of that. I need to get back to that one. So, yeah, anything he's in, I'm definitely going to give a chance. So, another thing with this movie, I really enjoyed the visuals, especially kind of the nighttime visuals and the unicorns and all the stuff that they had implemented into this. It was very nicely handled. Also, I thought the writing was pretty good for the most part, and I didn't really pick up too much on the music, which usually is a sign that it fits the movie for me. But it also wasn't anything that like stood out as something spectacular as well. All right, so now it's time to give it my rating. Death of Unicorn, it had a similar vibe to me, and the only thing I can really kind of compare it to is Jurassic Park. I don't put it up on the same level as quality wise there, but it had similar vibes with, being a creature feature sort of, and having some horror elements and some levity moments, and differences between society and the rich wanting something and other things just kind of playing out differently, stuff going sideways. So it definitely had a similar vibe, in my opinion, to Jurassic Park. So with that, I really feel this is one you should give a chance, and it's one I intend to add to my collection once it comes out, so I'm giving it a collection worthy rating. I really had a blast with this movie. I got to see it in Dolby, so the sound was definitely like on point. There's some shotgun fires in this that like I was like, damn, it felt like they were right next to me in the movie. So the sound design I really appreciated, and yeah, I felt this was a good time, and definitely one that I feel I want to see more movies like this. And I encourage you to go see it in theaters, form your own opinion. If you disagree with me or agree with me, let me know. I'm very curious what your thoughts would be. But now I'm going to get into some spoilers. So, one of the things I was kind of reading around the web is that a lot of people didn't appreciate the father daughter relationship, and that kind of pulled them out of the movie for the most part, which I felt it was something that was there. It didn't necessarily draw me in. It's not something I cared about. Obviously, it's there for some plot points to get the story moving along. But it seemed like background things to me, and I really just didn't care about it in the first place. So it was there, but I kind of just ignored it. Like the whole thing with the tapestries, telling the story of the unicorns and all that stuff. I just didn't care. Now, granted, was it really explained why the mother was involved in showing them that and all the things like is she, trying to send a message to the daughter from beyond or something? Um, yeah, I didn't really care about that aspect of things, so I was more focused on the other elements of the story. So that one, I definitely like can see some people's points and opinions on that, but it didn't draw me out of it. And as I said, Will Poulter, he played Shepard in this movie, and I feel he did an amazing job. Um, Not all the jokes and things in this movie landed with me, but it was kind of hit or miss. So overall, I think that's generally how dark comedies are for me. It's like there are definitely going to be kind of some jokes that hit and then some that don't. I mean, it's typical for a lot of comedies to go through that, but very specifically, dark comedies are a little bit more hit or miss for me. So, and as I said, Griff, he was just a fun character. The way the family interacted with him and the way he interacted with the other guests. So I really appreciate him, and like especially when they see the unicorn attacking and they're looking out the door and you see his face in the background. It's just absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I really want to talk about the unicorn design. I really appreciate how they kind of made each of the family members kind of look unique. And you had the mother who was a little bit more slender, smaller, more typical horse look, I would say. And then you have the father where he was beefy. He had like a lion's mane kind of thing almost going on, and like very intimidating. So I appreciate the design and the way they use the kind of darker colors of the unicorns for the horror elements and having them kind of lurking around, terrorizing everybody. And then, towards the end when they are reunited as a family and they bring the characters back to life, they end up as, the white characters. And I don't necessarily understand why, you know, obviously they brought Paul Rudd's character back, but I don't understand why they chose to chase down the cop car and do what they did there. That was a little weird to me, but overall, the unicorns I think were wisely used. There obviously was some CGI and stuff worked in there for them that looked a little janky towards the end, but overall, I found it to be quite acceptable. I also really appreciated that they chose to kind of like take the unicorn's ability, like there's the case where, you could grab onto the horn and kind of go on a psych trip and see what essentially is like an unraveling of the universe type thing going on. Maybe it's the afterlife, whatever you want to believe it is. I thought that was kind of cool that they portrayed that. And then they discovered the healing capabilities of the blood and different, body elements and stakes and the horn scrapings and all the different things that the rich immediately were like, okay, how can we capitalize on this? How can we make money off this? How can we help the people we know can pay for it and make us even richer? So yeah, there is a lot of greed going on in this movie, and we all know it's out there in the real world. And even if this is trying to call that out, I doubt it's going to reach the people that need to really hear it and maybe adjust their ways. But yeah. So yeah, I had a great time watching Death of the Unicorn. I can't wait to go see it again. I think I might try to make it out to the theaters again, but if it comes out digitally before then, I will definitely be picking this one up. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Death of the Unicorn. I feel it's something you should check out. If you do, let me know what you thought in the comments below. I also wanted to mention, if you're enjoying my content here, I do co-host a podcast called Drag Me to the Movies. It's a podcast where I pretty much make a recommendation to a friend. He goes and watches it, and then we discuss what he thought about it. So if you want to check that out, go to dragmetothemovies.com. Link will be in the description below as well. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one, and bye for now.